champions, and welcome back to It's DAWNYWAWNYTime. It's cooking time today, guys, and today we are cooking up some corned beef. So if you're interested to seeing what and how I prepare and cook my corned beef, then just keep watching. Okay, champions, so many people associate corned beef with cabbage. That's the meal, corned beef and cabbage. And a lot of people only eat the corned beef during March for St. Patrick's Day. Well, in my family growing up, we had corned beef quite regularly. My grandma loved to cook corned beef, and we didn't always have it with cabbage. Sometimes we had it with cabbage and boiled white potatoes with cornbread. Sometimes we had it with mashed potatoes and a green vegetable. But the point is that in my family, corned beef is a staple. We grew up, my brother and I, we grew up in a very diverse city at the time. And my grandmother did housework for Jewish people. And one of the families that she worked for owned a local Jewish delicatessen in my hometown. So this is where my grandmother learned how to cook the corned beef, along with several other Jewish dishes. So as I said, my brother and I, we grew up eating corned beef. So my family loves corned beef, and my children grew up eating corned beef, and my husband loves corned beef. So this is something that I cook regularly. Not a lot, but regularly. Now, corned beef, let me explain to you what corned beef is. Okay, now corned beef, and let me just show you what I have here. Corned beef, and this is the corned beef brisket that I am about to prepare and cook. Corned beef, the difference between regular beef and corned beef, and now mind you, corned beef is still beef, it's the beef brisket, but the difference between regular beef brisket and corned beef brisket is that the corned beef is cured in brine and boiled. Okay, so the brine is a rock salt brine, okay, and so it cures it, which hence the reason where you're getting the corn part of the beef, because it's cured in a rock salt brine. Okay, so now that we have that all out of the way, let me go a little further and explain to you there are different cuts of corned beef. There is two different cuts of corned beef brisket. You have your flat cut or flat cut beef or pointed cut beef. Okay, now the difference between the two, this is a flat cut corned beef, and the difference between flat cut and pointed cut is the fact that flat cut is much more leaner. It's a much more leaner beef brisket, okay, and it doesn't have as much flavor because you don't have a lot of fat to it. Okay, now pointed cut has more flavor because it has more fat content. Okay, and so when it's sitting in the brine concoction, so to speak, and it's being cured, the fat is soaking up a lot of the flavor of the brine. So therefore, when you slice it in a point cut and you have more fat, your meat is gonna have much more flavor to it, okay? But for me, and the way that my grandma taught me how to make corned beef and how I was raised with eating and cooking corned beef, watching her, for her it didn't really matter whether she used a point cut or a flat cut. What really mattered was the price per pound when we were growing up, because corned beef is quite expensive. Okay, so now that I've explained to you what corned beef is and the different cuts, the two different cuts that it has, now I'm getting ready to move in to showing you exactly how I prepare this corned beef to cook. And It's very, very, very simple. Now the thing with corned beef is you do not wash it, because if you wash the corned beef like you would your regular beef steaks or beef roast or whatever, you're gonna wash away all of the brine. And the brine is the seasoning, and the brine is the juice, which you can see here. That's the juice that is the flavoring, so to speak, and the curing for the corned beef. So you don't want to wash this. Now most corned beef packs come with some form of seasoning, okay? And so it comes with a little seasoning pack. Now many people boil their corned beef, and there's nothing wrong with that, but my grandmother didn't like it boiled because she said it boiled away a lot of the flavor. So she always roasted or baked her corned beef, okay? Now, getting back to the price of the corned beef, I purchased this corned beef. I never purchased the corned beef before St. Patrick's Day. I always get it after that because it's on sale, because they're trying to get rid of it. So this corned beef originally was, what was it, $5.99 a pound. And so I bought it for $3.99 a pound, which brought the price down from $21.74 for this, what is it, 3 pounds? The weight is 3.63 pounds. So for 3.63 pounds, originally at $5.99 a pound, it was $21.74. But at $3.99 a pound, it brought it down to $14.48. And that's a whole lot more economical for me. Okay, so what I do is, after I've taken, you know, the packet out, now you can do it one or two ways. I'm going to use a roasting bag or cooking bag, okay, and I've already put a little flour in it to coat the bag so that as my meat is cooking, it won't stick to the bag. And I always shake the bag up to get a good coating all the way around the bag. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the corned beef out, and I do have clean hands. You always want to cook your corned beef fat side up, okay? That way the juices in the fat are gonna marinate and it's gonna cook into the meat. Then the juice or the brine, okay, that's in the pack, you're just gonna take that and you're gonna pour it all over the corned beef, okay, because that's what you're gonna use to cook your corned beef, okay? That's the juice that you need. Now, okay, so now that we've got the corned beef inside of the cooking bag, now you don't have to put it inside of a cooking bag, okay? You can just put it inside in your shallow pan. Now, let's talk about the pan for a minute. You're going to want to use a shallow pan, okay? Preferably if you have a rack such as this to lift the meat up off of being sitting directly in the bottom of the pan, that would be perfect. But if you don't, that's fine. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take just a little bit of water, because the process of cooking, roasting a corned beef is that you want to steam it in the roasting process. You want it to be steamed. So generally I pour enough water in it to come up to the top of the grid, the little rack that I have in here, okay? Then from there, I'm gonna take the seasoning packet and we're gonna cut it up and we're gonna sprinkle that all on the top of the corned beef brisket, okay? So we're gonna open this up. Now mind you, if you don't have a bag, that's fine. I just got these huge turkey bags and I just wanted to use them. You know, I'm trying to use them up. But anyway, if you don't have a bag, that's fine. Just still put it in a shallow pan, put you some water in the pan, set your brisket on top of the rack. If you have a rack, it's very good. If you don't have a rack, then you're gonna have to sit your meat down in the pan. But preferably when you're roasting, you're going to need a rack. And so then at that point, you would just cover it up with some aluminum foil and let it cook for the amount of time that it needs to cook. Okay? So, the final thing, and this is what most people don't do because they don't know, but because this is a recipe that I grew up watching my grandmother make, and she got it from some Jewish employers. This is how I've always done it. So the final step is I take some paprika. Okay, and we're gonna take the paprika and we're gonna sprinkle it all over the top of the corned beef, which gives it added flavor, especially when you have a flat cut, because remember the flat cut is the one that's the most lean and has less fat, and the fat is what has all of the flavoring in it. So to give it some extra boost of flavor, we add the paprika, okay? And this is a flat cut brisket. So I just sprinkle it, and you can be very generous with it now. You know, I just cover the top of it up, and I just go all down the side, and I just cover it in paprika, okay? So now that we have that done, now we are ready to close the bag. And we're gonna, oh, here it is. We don't want to close it all the way down because we want the bag to be able to, you know, as it's cooking, we want it to be able to expand, okay? So I kind of like just put it at the top and close this bag up with the tie that came in the box, okay? Situate it in the pan. So now we've got our water, we've got everything. Now the next step is we need to cut some slits in here in this bag, because if you don't, the bag will get bigger and bigger, and after one point with the heat building up inside the bag, the steam, it will explode. So we're gonna just go through our bag and just do some slits, like so that the steam can escape, okay? And that's it, guys. It is now ready to go into the oven. Now we will roast this, slow roast it, at a temperature of 300, no more than 325, okay? And we're gonna roast it for an hour per pound. Now this is a little over a 3.5 pound brisket, so that means I'm gonna be roasting this on 325 in my oven for about 3.5, 4 hours, okay? And so once you do that, you just slow roast it, and it's in the bag, so you don't have to bother it. You just put it on your rack and put the foil on top. You also don't have to bother it. There's no turning, there's no none of that. You just let it slow roast, okay? So I will come back at the end of the 3.5 hours, and I'll let y'all see what my brisket looks like when it's completely done. Okay, champions, so we are back with the finished corned beef brisket that I roasted in the oven today. Now this corned beef took approximately 7.5, 8 hours on 300 because I slow roasted it. Now as you can see, it's juicy, it's not dry. This dark you see is the fat that was on top. See how juicy that is? And that is the paprika that cooked, okay? So this is it all sliced up. Now I did forget to tell you guys that corned beef does shrink. So the amount that you get in the package, it is going to shrink once you cook it. But this is some good stuff, honey. Woo, honey. This is some good eating right here. So, oh, and it's so tender. My husband's gonna love this. But I just wanted y'all to see the finished product that's sliced up and ready to go. So thank you so much for tuning in today and watching this video. To all of the new champions that have joined our family, welcome to It's DawnyWawnyTime. To my ride or die, thank you so much for always supporting my channel. You guys can follow me on Instagram if you like. It's at ItsDawnyWawnyTime on Instagram. And until the next video, champions, It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. Take it one day at a time and continue to have a wonderful life. Smooches.